There is a lot of new stuff coming to Battlefield 5, and in a previous video earlier this week I discussed the things that I've experienced in LA when we were at EA Play. Now of course there are two maps that you'll have seen some footage on, Al Sundan and Marita. Both of these are really awesome maps, with Marita being a favourite of mine, but it is worth noting that there is more than just that coming to the game, and now is a very exciting time when it comes to the future of Battlefield 5. This video was made possible by EA Gamechangers. Now in this video I'm going to go over the things that I am excited for, starting with obviously the main one, the Pacific Theatre that's coming in Chapter 5, and then I'll be going over some of the stuff we saw in the roadmap and other things that I got to experience and discuss at EA Play. These will range from Operation Underground and my opinions on that map. Although I can't show you gameplay of it, we weren't allowed to record, I can indeed talk about it. Then we have new weapons and other aspects such as the competitive scene that could be making a return with Battlefield 5. We've also got RSP coming to the game soon, which is in my opinion one of the biggest things that DICE needed to do, and it couldn't come sooner. So dropping back to earlier in the game's life, late last year in 2018, many people were asking for the Pacific Theatre and wondering where it was in the game. If you're going to be looking at a World War II game, it's pretty essential that you bring in a world war, and that means several theatres of war, including the Pacific, which was a major part in the fight across the globe. So mainly the thing to take away from this is that DICE are approaching this chronologically, or at least that's what they were planning to do when the game came out. They were quoted in saying, "Follow the real stages of the war with tides of war and the live service," essentially saying that we'd start with around 1941 and move our way up towards the end of the war. Now that isn't strictly what they've stuck to, and we might be seeing a bit of a yo-yo effect where we've looked at something in the future and then possibly come back again, and that might be okay if it means we get more battles and more theatres of war. But for the most part the Pacific is going to be coming in after the stuff we've already seen in the main game. The trailer that we got to see a couple of days ago, probably around a week ago by the time this video goes live, was taking a look at some of the new stuff you can expect in Chapter 4 with a bit of a teaser at the end towards Chapter 5 and the Pacific Theatre. In my opinion, the best part of the trailer was that ping at the end of the trailer itself. Yes, it's something very simple and it signifies a weapon that is going to be included in this update, but it's just what trailers are about. It's about teasing something and letting your mind do the rest, and I think this trailer really got it perfectly right and hit the nail on the head. On top of this, the trailer also brings you Operation Underground and of course some other stuff for Chapter 4, so all in all it's quite a considerable amount of information, and you'd expect that, as essentially it's all DICE have to offer at this point in time, and it's quite a distance since the game first came out. It was very well received on YouTube and Reddit, and that is good to see, as if we compare it to some of the previous posts, many things have been negative and surrounded in controversy, so it's great to see that DICE are getting that out of the way and bringing some more positive stuff back. How the maps will play and how DICE will choose to release them is not something I'm certain about. I think we're getting 3 maps in total with the Pacific Theatre. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be doing, whether they'll bring more after those initial 3, but they did allude to the fact that we'll be starting out with 3, and with it being a live service there is a chance that they drip feed us these 1 month at a time, maybe every fortnight, but it could be that they drop a few at once, and that's how I think they should really approach this. Pitch the Pacific Theatre almost like a Vietnam to Battlefield Bad Company 2. Essentially what you're looking at there is almost a reboot of the game, and whilst it won't have the 8 maps or so that you'd expect with a full release, it would have that new feel about it and the new setting. That's exactly what people need, and it's the refresher that this game requires. 2 other maps that you'll get to play far earlier than that are Al Sundan and Marita, and you'll have been seeing some gameplay of those in the background that I captured at EA Play. Now interestingly, both of these maps offer very different fighting environments, and I've been over this in a previous video. Al Sundan is essentially your old school battlefield map with larger scale battles and a focus on vehicle team play, while Marita is going to be close quarters infantry action around twisting narrow streets and some pretty cool vertical gameplay. Marita is a favourite of mine. Straight away, as you can tell from the gameplay, I was starting to get to grips with some of the infantry engagements that are on offer. There's also a tractor on the map, which is pretty cool, and myself and Ravik were spending a lot of time trying to boost vehicles into the air on the end screen. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to do it, but you can see you can fire stuff around the map, and it's pretty funny, and you can have a lot of fun. Al Sundan, again, a fun map. More of a classic battlefield map, and I think those people that enjoy those large scale battles are really going to fall in love with this map. This isn't the finished product. DICE are going to tweak a few things potentially before it comes out, but you can expect to see something that looks pretty similar to what's on screen now. Now a quick chat about Operation Underground. Of course there is no gameplay of this, you can only see what was in the trailer, but we did get to play it, and whilst it was an early build of the game, it was very interesting to play. Now from what I can tell, it's not based in Paris, it is in fact based in Vienna. Some people say Berlin, but according to those that have really a bit more knowledge in that area than I do, Vienna is the place that they've settled on. It could be Vienna, and even if it was Berlin or Vienna, it doesn't make a difference to me because I'm more interested in the actual map itself and how it plays. One of the major sticking points for me with the original Metro was the fact it was a complete meat grinder, but the thing is, lots of people enjoy that style of gameplay, and whilst when we moved over to Battlefield 4 and Operation Locker we had more lanes and more chance for rotations and flanking routes, it still maintained some of that grinding gameplay straight through the centre of the map. Now that's what you want with a map like this. You want the spine of it to be very linear and lots of head-to-head gameplay, people fighting it out under these choke points and funnels, but then you can have flanking routes around the side which allow people to get into different positions, cap flags, and offer a bit more movement. We saw this in Battlefield 1 with Fort de Vaux, a map that offered quite a lot of rotation from point to point, albeit not in a linear fashion. Operation Underground, although it's an early build, does show quite a lot of promise for both those things. I'm thinking Conquest is going to be slightly better than maybe a mode like Grind, which intends to have that head-to-head gameplay at a standstill, but Conquest could be very fun, offering both that and, of course, the chance to flank and pull off some pretty cool plays. Let me know in the comments what you're more excited for, either Operation Underground or the Pacific Theatre, because it does seem a weird one with the Pacific Theatre being a far larger piece of content coming to the game. Operation Underground, in my opinion, is going to be incredibly popular, and it's this sort of content that really should have been coming to the game quite a few months ago, because people would have lapped it up and continued to play what could have been a fantastic Battlefield game, but right now is playing a bit of catch up. We'll of course receive new weapons alongside all of these maps. You can see gameplay of the new medic weapon in the background, albeit without specializations, so it's not really fair to give it a review at this point, but you can see that it is quite effective. On top of that, I thought it's worth mentioning that the fun aspect is actually starting to return in Battlefield 5, and what I mean by this is some things that were omitted when the game came out that have started to return, such as C4 launching and C4 jeeps, or dynamite jeeps I suppose, if we're being a bit more accurate. Now why they were gone in the first place, it really confused me and I'm not sure, but seeing that the developers are intent on bringing back some of the quirkier features such as those dynamite jeeps and vehicle launching is very awesome to see. We've also got a tractor on Marita, not something that you'd really expect or associate with the stuff that they've done with Battlefield 5 so far. It's more about attrition and MMGs and fortifications, as opposed to actual fun things and quirky things that make Battlefield what it's all about. It's odd and not exactly realistic, but people should realise that Battlefield is definitely not a milsim and never will be. It's a mixture of arcade-style FPS gameplay and beautiful graphics, alongside some of those pretty cool and quirky features that separate it from everything else on the market. A quick chat about the competitive scene, and I know a lot of people are excited for this. Whilst EA Play provided a perfect platform to expand on what's already been said surrounding competitive play, there wasn't a whole lot to shout about. This is certainly an area that requires some serious attention, not just because people want competitive in Battlefield, but potentially because people also don't. Competitive modes are not for all games, and in my opinion, forcing a comp mode and almost shoehorning it in at a late date will only create an Incursions 2.0 situation. The best way to create a competitive Battlefield experience with the chance for a future in esports is to follow the Battlefield 3 recipe, or at the very least bring RSP to the game on release and then allow the community to shape what they see as a competitive game mode. Battlefield 3 did it properly, BF4 almost had a go at it, and then we saw a quick return of esports or competitive play in Hardline, but since then it's been very quiet, and I'd like to see it return, maybe not with Battlefield 5, but potentially with the next game. Right now I want to see RSP and some close quarters infantry stuff, and let's see what the community make of it. Essentially what you can take from this video and what we saw at EA Play is the future of Battlefield is definitely positive. Not only in terms of Battlefield 5, and I think that this game is only going to get better, it certainly won't be getting any worse unless DICE drop some serious clangers, which I can't see them doing after the stuff we've already been through, but also in terms of the franchise. It's completely in the air when it comes to the next game. I have no clue what DICE have in store, and we could potentially see something that surprises everyone. Will the next game even release after the usual 2-year cycle has ended? Who knows? Thanks for watching the video. If you did enjoy, let me know down below. Make sure you leave a like if you like the content, and I'll definitely check out some of the comments that you leave down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.